Hey everybody, and welcome to Metalhead in Mexico. My name is Keiko, and I am trying to discreetly eat a wonderful pastry and a beer, which may not necessarily go together, but it's okay. It's Modelo. There's Modelo Negro Oscura, a cerveza oscura hecho en Mexico. And I am, thank you for joining me on the channel. And I am reporting from what I believe we have decided is our new hometown, which is Guanajuato, Mexico. Guanajuato, the city of Guanajuato, Guanajuato. It is a city and state of the same name, capital city, in a mountainous region in central Mexico called the Bajío region. And it's kind of like, if people are familiar with the climate in Arizona, like parts of Arizona, like Tucson, it's not that hot, but it is kind of like, it's arid, an arid mountainous climate, and the city is situated in a valley, like a big giant bowl, with mountains up around, or yeah, small mountains and hills, bluffs all around surrounding the city. So it's kind of neat. And anyway, my husband and I relocated from the U.S. to Mexico. We emigrated to this country in March of 2025. We are legal residents here, and we renewed our residency permits for another 3 years. And the plan is in 2028 we will convert to permanent residence. And so that is basically as close to a citizen as we can get without taking one more big legal step. So for now, that's what our goal is. And so the other first video I talked about, why Mexico, tell things about Mexico. This particular episode, I want to talk about relationships, because that's part of the process with making a decision to move abroad, is how you're going to handle your relationships and friendships and how you want to navigate that. Of course, that's up to you, but how complicated it can get, I suppose, may depend on how complicated your relationship circle, family circle is. Probably the bigger the family, the more tight-knit and tightly woven and heavily interacting it is. It might be more difficult for you to make a move like this. For us, it's a lot smaller of a circle. We each have a small number of friends. We can count them all on two hands. Um, and our family is kind of scattered around, and a lot of it's extended family, so a lot of them aren't even like super close with us, so they're not the type of people we need to like kind of confer with, and kind of, where we feel like we're compelled to share, like um, beyond like, hey, by the way, on Facebook, we made this life change. There were certain people in our lives we wanted to know, and told them firsthand, and it was very important that they understood that it was, we've been coming to this decision a long time. And luckily, the people that we knew, they already knew that David, my husband, had, they knew about his background, which is being an army brat and living around, different parts of the U.S., and then spending most of his formative years in Germany. And for me, it was a little bit more of a like a, but I mean, you're doing this to support, to be in support of David wanting to live abroad. And I'm like, well, yeah, yes and no, because even before he and I met, I had a long time, yen, I guess you would say, to think like, wow, what all's out there. I wanted to travel the world, I guess, but just kind of, it was one of those things like where it seems so vast. Like, where do you even start? And the idea of navigating it alone, I'm not sure how people do it, honestly. That's a big, to me, I think I would need a traveling companion. If I weren't married, I think I need a traveling companion to pull this off. Um, but, uh, but we both knew we wanted to do it. We wanted to leave. We just weren't sure once we knew that. We tried the Germany route because he was born there, and I mentioned this before, but he was born there and has a German mother, but yet somehow the legality of dual citizenship wasn't going to happen. So I mention all this again because our friends, luckily, they knew all that history, so we didn't have to like rehash his reasoning. But for me, I wanted them to kind of understand my perspective and my history, and my I guess you'd say, evolution toward realizing, hey, I really want to do this too. And so not all couples have that, happen where there's an epiphany and you have a discussion like this about moving to a new country and both parties are not on board. So then there's that. I don't know how people navigate that. Some people, they eventually do it, or sometimes it's the deal breaker in a relationship, and that's kind of just sort of crazy to think about. I wasn't too worried when we came to visit Mexico. We knew it was gonna, we thought, wow, we had the same thought, and just it was, luckily it was a very short period, like it was a matter of minutes, where we were like, okay, what just happened, And within a few minutes we realized, yeah, we want to go there, we want to move. But it was years. It was probably almost a year before we told any of our friends. I told my mom, who, rest in peace, is not with us anymore, but she's one of those unusual souls that, like, she was very unflappable. So, and she's also had a lot of wanderlust, but her health kind of prevented her from doing more. But she did get to travel a little bit while her body was still, more cooperative. Anyway, she knew pretty soon, like, hey, we're going to try to do this. And she was like, cool, that's the way she was, But with other family, I guess for some people, with, like I say, if you've got a wider social circle or family circle and you're all super in each other's business all the time, that might be, almost like I would say, like an intervention, I would gather. For some of you, you gotta be like, okay, how do I break this to you? I would say, like, in our experience, in my experience, just with my small circle of, like, friends and family that, are enough in my business to want to feel like they had a right to know about our decision. I started off by just talking about our trip that we had taken to Mexico, and speaking about it often. And right there, it kind of can take care of a lot by just talking about something that you're really passionate about. People will eventually pick up on it, unless they're, like, pretty thick in the head, I guess. But if you bring it up enough, they will at least notice it and go, boy, you really talk about that a lot. Is something going on? Or, why are you so fascinated by, whatever? And that can be your window. That's your in, to go, hey, so yeah, we had this kind of crazy idea and we've been looking into it and this is what we're going to do. And there's your kind of, just talk positively about it. And then invite the person to ask questions and share information that you're learning, kind of like as you're learning about it. It's like, hey, check out this video on YouTube. I found this is one of the cities we're interested in checking out. Look at all the cool stuff about it. Now, all that to say, people, of course, are going to have questions because, the way media portrays Mexico is it's nothing but cartels, burros, and sombreros, and what, hotel resorts and beaches and cruises, right? And that's pretty much all we're taught about it. So people will have a lot of questions, and that's okay. I tried to not sugarcoat it. I try to learn about what we can. That's, that it's a concern, certain elements of safety, but we basically just try to listen to what the locals say and what the people who've lived here, the foreigners who have lived here for years, what they say, and we just mimic what they do, which is travel by day. But we haven't really been out as a city center. But that's in general. That's just how people operate. Is they travel by day as much as possible, and there's just part of it's infrastructural. It's not all about, like, crazy nefarious stuff. It's just there's a lot of roads with no lighting, and one lane highways, and cows sent out to pasture, and there's farm animals in parts of town that you wouldn't think, like, no kidding, there's roosters right in the city, or there's there's a horse grazing on the side of the freeway or whatever. You'll see that. It's a thing. So there's reasons beyond the more nefarious ones, but it's just you just do try to learn from the locals, ask questions, have an open mind, and when that as far as just even exploring it, try to look at it through that lens. And when your friends and family have questions, try to look it up, do a little research for them. It's like, well, I got to do this research anyway for my own sake. So, hey, that question or concern that you had, I looked it up because that was actually a really good question. And I hadn't thought about that. And, engage them a bit, I think, is really kind of good because um, they, they want to know, they want to be interested, and they want to, if they are, you know, not a like toxic, narcissistic, gaslighting type of individual, which hopefully you do not have many of those in your life. But, and maybe, if there are people like that, maybe save those people for later on. Tell them later on, if at all. People who are more reasonable, who care about you and have your interests in mind. Um, be ready with questions, and be curious and be receptive to their questions, and make it a conversation. Now, if they want to, try getting like more emotional about it, I think it may be a sign that, they'll likely be sad. That's just part of it. Um, for us, in our situation, we had lived in the same area for so long, we weren't personally sad about it anymore. So we could talk about our move without any emotional charge from ourselves.